In today's digital age of social media, spreading information across the world is seemingly easier than ever before. And with the rise of online hate speech and misinformation, social platforms are in a constant uphill battle trying to moderate what spreads on their platforms. This begs the question, who should regulate speech online, and how must it be done? Should governments be at the top of the ladder, overseeing everything we say and do? Or should this responsibility be left to the platforms hosting the content? How can we ensure that users make informed opinions about what they see online? In today's video, I will try and address these questions and give my opinion on how I think they should be approached. In my opinion, governments should play a role in regulating hate speech, misinformation, and disinformation on social media platforms. However, this must be done carefully to avoid infringing on the freedom of speech of its people. Government regulation should focus on setting a united set of guidelines through legislation for platforms to follow, while holding them accountable for implementing their own additional content moderation strategies. With the international element of social media, combined with the enormous amount of users and creators that use them, it's near impossible for governments to impose direct regulation on these parties without directly infringing on their free speech. Instead, the sound approach is to regulate the corporations that host this content. In fact, a 2019 poll of 3,000 Canadians by Abacus Data found that 60% of Canadians feel that government regulation of social media platforms is justified. This indicates a growing public consciousness about the problems associated with social media and the inherent need for some form of regulation to be applied. 77% of respondents supported requiring platforms to delete illegal content such as hate speech within a timely manner. 75% of respondents also supported requiring platforms to delete misinformation within a timely manner as well. It's also important to note that there can be a conflict of interest between a platform's financial incentives and the need to prioritize user safety and societal well-being. A level of government oversight can set the so-called limit on the platform's capitalist intentions, ensuring that they stay within the bounds of predefined rules. An example of where the government stepped in to regulate social media effectively is in Germany through the NetzDG law, which came into effect in 2018. The law applies to companies with more than 2 million registered users and requires platforms to set up procedures for reviewing complaints about hateful or misleading content and removing anything illegal within 24 hours. Failing to comply with these requirements results in large fines for both the individuals and the companies. In this example, the German government effectively used its power to accomplish three things. It laid out clear rules for what constitutes illegal content, such as hate speech and misinformation. It provided clear guidelines for how platforms should deal with it. And it disincentivizes both the users and the platforms from disregarding these rules through fines. I believe that this is a perfect example of how governments should involve themselves when regulating online speech. Although the government lays the framework for what and how to moderate online content, social media platforms have the ultimate responsibility of regulating themselves and their users, and ensuring that their platform policies abide by the government-imposed legislations. This is done through content moderation policies, providing tools to identify, report, and remove harmful content, and through educating users about why certain content was removed. Any additional regulations not outlined by government legislation should, in my opinion, remain up to the platform to implement based on their corporate values and community-driven feedback. With this approach, government legislation ensures that a baseline standard is met, and corporations can further regulate as they see fit. Education is a critical aspect for protecting users from the potential harms of social media. Empowering individuals to critically evaluate the information they encounter online by providing education and the tools to discern credible sources from misinformation can help mitigate the spread of harmful content on social media. This can be implemented through media literacy programs integrated into schools' curricula or through adult educational programs. Publicly accessible tools can also be made available for fact-checking sources provided by both governments and platforms. And finally, teaching users about the media biases that shape the online news and information can encourage users to apply critical thinking about the content that they see online. To close things off, dealing with the harms of hate speech and misinformation on social media requires a combined effort from both governments and social platforms, as well as through effective educational strategies.